It is Wednesday evening once again, and that means it's time for another Auburn Family Night. This is the show that is produced by you and for you. All of your comments, questions, and of course, calls as well. Let's get into anything and everything Auburn right now. War Eagle Auburn family and War Eagle to our E2C Network family, especially. Thank you so much for joining us. Whether you are watching live, replay, Facebook, home base of YouTube, X, all the different places that you can get this content throughout all the different multiverses and times, we appreciate you being here and being part of our little family within the Auburn family. As is always the case, we'd love for you to start the show off. Smash that like button. You can do it on the replay as well as I knock my desk around and stuff. Off to a roaring start here already. And we'd love for you to let us know that you're here. Check in with us, post where you're watching from with a War Eagle. That's how we start the show off. My name is Kyle. For those of you that don't know me, editor and owner of E2C Network. This is our weekly show. I say weekly because it is outside of conflicts with Auburn basketball, and this is a off week for Auburn basketball, so no worries there. We're not rushed or anything. No conflicts during times having to shorten shows. We are just here for you tonight. What do you want to talk about related to the orange and blue? We can really go far off into the different categories of that, but we would love to focus on what you are most interested in talking about. So don't be shy and don't hesitate to join in and help create the conversation tonight. As always, our phone lines are open tonight. You can click the link here on YouTube. I think it's available on Facebook, Twitter, folks, X folks. You will have to come over here to YouTube to access that. So that is how we can. You can call in tonight if you'd like to. We can take comments and questions, but we'd love to hear some of your smiling here, see some of your smiling faces, or hear some of your wonderful voices if you choose not to be on camera tonight. While you guys are getting geared up, saying hello, getting certain topics out there that you'd like to start hitting tonight, let me set the table, as I like to see, for us this evening. We already brought it up. Auburn basketball is in the midst of if you want to call it a bye week, you can. It's not really a bye week because we'll play a basketball game on Saturday. A bye midweek. Is that fair? A bye midweek, no games this week. Very much needed after a team that is trying to find some consistency of late in SEC play. The Jalen Williams injury as well has wrecked some people's perceptions of how good this Auburn basketball team could be. Less than a week away from spring practice. Baseball, softball are in full swing. Basically, everything is about to be in session right now. I struggle to think of one singular program that doesn't have either their regular season, postseason, or their spring season, their off-season schedule going right now. So if you can't find something in the Auburn family spectrum to be excited about, I just can't help you because there is plenty to discuss and plenty to talk about tonight. And of course, I want to talk about the things that I like to talk about, but you guys kind of dictate which direction you would like all of us to go. Mr. Charles Allen watching on X. Thank you so much for being here, checking in from all the way up in Muscle Shoals, Alabama. You know, it's been a minute since we had someone international check into the show, but it happens pretty frequently. You know, you'll get the Europe type of check-ins. Every once in a while, we'll get a Central South America check-in, but it's always interesting to me when we get like a Southeast Asia or an Africa, just some places that you maybe don't think about. I think we had someone check in from Liberia once before, and you know, when I always wonder sometimes when you see international people checking in, are they like spam accounts and things? Because you see a lot of that on social media. But no, these are legitimate people that are Auburn family members that are checking in from all across the globe to be a part of this little family within the Auburn family. So we'll see if we get anybody tonight, but at least we know that the home state, Auburn, well, not Auburn, the state of Auburn, as we like to call it sometimes, the state of Alabama is being represented already this evening. As much as I'm hating having the midweek game not be here this week, kind of digging, you know, a less hectic, less stressful, less focused time for me this week. I looked forward to this Wednesday night, not panicking about there being a conflict of times and having to rush to meet the start of another game time. So it's kind of nice to be back in the normal groove of things here. Cody, even though it's not about Auburn, it's about one of our rivals, Alabama losing to Florida 41-37 right now at halftime for basketball. One of the things that was very interesting I saw, I think it was on X today, somebody was talking about the point totals for both of these teams over the last several games, and the fact that showed that they were going to have a shootout tonight. Well, if you look at that halftime score right there, that'll tell you right now that this is going to be a high scoring game, 41-37. I'd say you normally see scores in the mid to low 30s on both sides in a competitive game. But here, much higher than that. Kind of goes to what they said a little bit. Both are, at least Alabama, we know, is a great offensive team, but they're a very streaky team as well. So as hot as they can get just as cold really quickly. Florida, I'm still trying to figure out. I don't think Florida is as good as we made them look. I also don't think they're as bad as maybe people thought they might be at the start of the season. I don't think people thought they were going to be bad. I think they were just underestimated. There's a lot of underestimating going on this year in the SEC. South Carolina, at least to start off with, was a picture of that. Florida is a case of that. So we'll see how it goes, but I have a feeling, folks, don't get your hopes up tonight. Alabama probably pulled this one out. Is it at Florida? Is it at Alabama tonight? I don't focus on it all that much because it's not Auburn related. I know it affects us, but believe it or not, I'm not like a Bama fan that goes and invades other streams and stuff like that to focus on trolling and all that kind of thing. So I don't really get involved in their content at Alabama. Okay. Well, that's in their favor then. If they've got their crowd behind them, even in that awful, not as awful as Vanderbilt, but awful basketball arena, they probably are going to be able to do some good things. But we'll see. We'll see how everything shakes out for them. Plenty of basketball left to be played for Auburn. Speaking of which, let's pull that up tonight. Let's talk about it a little bit. Auburn basketball schedule. That was football. That's why you type in the keywords of basketball. And let's talk through maybe what we've got left and see what you all think. Anybody want to offer any predictions? What you have left on the schedule for Auburn after the loss to Kentucky? At Georgia, at Tennessee, midweek game, number 5, Tennessee. Auburn really needs that one. That'll go a long way themselves positioning wise in postseason situations. Mississippi State at home, the return trip there, at Missouri, and then welcoming Georgia back. So it's kind of one of those things where it's a hot and cold type of schedule, like the hot team, the not so hot team, maybe like middle of the road team, as opposed to the gauntlet that Auburn just went through, and mind you, did decently. Ole Miss, Alabama, Florida, South Carolina, Kentucky. Shades of shades of this football season where we had a pretty rough stretch too. If Alabama or South Carolina loses this week, it will significantly help us. The great thing is that we beat South Carolina. We have beaten Alabama once. So I would say that there's no tiebreaker situation there in my mind, but it could put us in a position to win a share of the SEC title if they remain at the top as they've been lately. Bubba and the old man says, I got us going 4-1. Tennessee is going to be tough. I completely agree. Tennessee is going to be a tough get for us. Frankly, probably couldn't come at a worse time. Jalen Williams with his injury, thankfully not season ending, it seems, as the press release said, and as he seemed to indicate in his social media. By the way, that was just the best news to wake up to on a Sunday morning. So worried about him. But if you're going to have somebody go out with an injury when you're heading to a game at Tennessee soon, it's not the time to have it happen. Even Bruce, I think, talked about either today or recently about how we could be okay with some other games left on the schedule size-wise. But unfortunately, when we go to Tennessee, size will be a factor. So we're going to have to find a way to be successful on the road without Jalen Williams, it seems. I don't know how long he's going to be out, folks. I would say, in my estimation, the safe thing is to give him as much rest as you can allow for the team, because this is a knee injury. You do not want to push things. There's been speculation reports online that it will be the SEC tournament when he returns. I think that's probably a fair assessment, just to be safe. That's 5 games that he can rest and be ready for the postseason. And here's the thing, too. The necessity for Auburn, if Auburn loses all of these next games, how many more is it left? 5 total? 5 total games. The reality is they're not going to fall out of the tournament, likely, but so you don't want to just like throw the rest of the season out the water, but you don't want to put anybody in any bad situations. So you got to be very, 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 very careful what happens going forward. Cody on Facebook is asking, are rumors true he could be leaving Auburn? People posting about that on social media. Have you heard anything that Bruce Pearl could leave? Cody, the first problem you said there is you're referencing social media. They also told you that Auburn was about to make an announcement about apparel deals this week. It's Wednesday even. Nothing's happening yet. My advice to you, sir, is to take everything you see on social media with an extremely great grain of salt. Now, I may be wrong. I'm very likely could be wrong, that I'm not privy to something. I haven't seen anything, but to me, that sounds like typical. We are bored this week. Social media, fan trolling things. You would have to build a case to me why Bruce Pearl would leave, because he is set up with the best possible legacy here at Auburn if he wants it, which I think he does. He is about to cross over in the most wins column. He will likely have the court named after him if he continues in this way. He will probably have a statue of himself one day, hopefully alongside Coach Sonny Smith. And to me, it would be stupid to leave. And it's a situation where if you leave now, you lose opportunity to be the guy, and not to say that you still wouldn't be honored someday, because he's done a lot of great things here. I think that's just rumors, so I wouldn't read too much into it. Get off the social medias, man. I say that with all the love I can muster. Jake points out that I'm confident in Chaney Johnson, to step up while Jalen Williams, is out. I have been very impressed with Jalen. Yes, Jalen, but Chaney over the last several games. Sometimes statistically, but he just seems to be the word and phrase I've been using a lot for Jalen this year is asserting himself. And I think Chaney is starting to find that rhythm too. It's an eerily similar. They're not exactly the same player. In fact, they're not the same player at all. But there's an eerily similar feel that I get about an early Jalen Williams that I do with Chaney Johnson. And so I think that if Chaney will seize upon this opportunity that he has to see some more playing time while Jalen rests that knee, it could be something special. I'm not saying he's going to unseat Jalen, because nobody should unseat Jalen at this point, what he's done for this program. But for right now, he can take the starring role at the 4 position if he wants it. Now, will Bruce keep him? Well, no, I guess we got Dylan in the 5 spot. So I don't know. I guess that's really a moot point. Thomas, I don't know if I said hello to you. Good to see you, my good friend. And if you would like to announce your special news here, you can. I'm putting you on the spot, I know, but just, and just in case you wanted to offer that up. There are benefits to being part of the Conquer Club, folks. You not only get little, hang out with a cool group of people, you get fun little announcements that don't happen anywhere else outside of that. Let's see. Unbeaten Lake says, I am scared about going to Georgia. We struggle to win there. It's less of a Georgia thing and more of a Mike White thing. And this would be your classic trap game scenario. And maybe less so because Auburn will hopefully be refocused after a week off, but that could be a detriment as well. The situation is as such. Big game, 2 games away at Tennessee. Really need that one on the road. A lot of distractions with injuries and such like that. But you've also got the dynamic of Bruce Pearl has not had a lot of success against Mike White. Georgia too as well. So there could be a little bit of trepidation out there. So I understand, Unbeaten Lake, why you would be a little bit nervous about the Georgia matchup. Should not be dismissed or taken lightly in any way. So he has announced his news officially here, Mr. Thomas Manville. Everybody give him a round of applause. Just got engaged, War Eagle, to that. Congratulations. I've said that to you in the Conquer Club, but I want to say it to you publicly here. And I figured you'd give us a little bit of a hint here before long, but I was going to go ahead and prompt you and put you on the spot. So congratulations to Mr. Manville. It's great so happy that you were able to share that news with us. I guess it happened that day. Maybe was it that day? Something like that. But cool. Another Auburn family keeps growing and growing together. Jake says that my worst fear is falling to a 5 seed. The 5-2 matchups always scare me. Remember, we almost lost. Almost. In the opening round, we went to the Final Four. It doesn't matter about almost. It matters. Almost only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades. It's an old dad joke for you. Yeah, look, 5-2 or 5-12 is a classic. You pick a upset in that category every single year. You hate to be there. I wouldn't worry so much about that. I mean, my worst fear is falling out completely. Auburn tends to do well when there is a lot of adversity or dismissing of them. And if they go into the March Madness with a 5 seed situation and a very strong 12 seed and not a lot of hype around them, you could see a lot of people dismissing them. Might be the recipe for success. It worked in the Final Four run. Who knows? It might work again. I think this team has got a ton left in the tank, especially after Jalen gets back. And I definitely was a little bit quick to pull the trigger. Not quick. I pulled it a week too early to say that they were Elite 8 eligible. But I still think this is a very good basketball team. Just going through a rough patch right now. Unbeaten Lake says the game where we were number 1 heading into Athens against the 6-win Georgia team to only win by a last-second shot was one of the worst wins I've ever seen. Hey, listen, a win is a win is a win in my book. Heavy is the crown. What is it? Heavy is the crown that's worn upon the head that wears it, or something like that. And it can happen even against the 6-win Georgia team. Georgia surprised a few people this year. It seems like I didn't really necessarily have them on or off my radar. I know they've been bad as of recent, but Mike White's their head coach. The history may still be there, but this is a good year to be getting rid of some of those trends. No apologies necessary for bouncing around to different topics. A little bit off the basketball area, but do you think we can get ranked this next season with how Hugh Freeze coached this past season? Do you think we can get ranked this next football season with how Hugh Freeze coached this past season? Are you asking because there didn't seem to be a lot of success on the field? Or are you just asking in general? I feel like there's a layered question in there. Maybe I'm reading way too much into it. That's the trouble with sometimes just taking comments, which is why you guys should call in sometimes. Take advantage of that link so we can talk voice to voice, face to face. But I'll take this one as is. Yeah, I think Auburn can get ranked. I think they have a schedule that lays out for them a lot nicer than last year. 5 games in a row at home. You're getting one of the new teams in the SEC at home to start off with. If Auburn goes 5-0, which is a possibility, they could be right in the outside of, or right on the inside of a top 25 matchup. Now, what happens after that is going to be the struggle, right? It's going to be a little bit tough to see if we can maintain that or not. I think we'll get ranked, though. In my opinion, I don't know if anybody else has any opinions about that. WT, I still believe if Okiki had not been injured against UNC, we would have won the national championship. And that may be so. I don't know that I necessarily agree with that. I don't think that would have made all the difference in the world, because Auburn played as well as they could have against the next game against Kentucky and Virginia, mostly. A few errant calls at the end, and Auburn's in the championship game against a Texas Tech team that didn't show a lot in the championship game and probably winning a national title. So to me, I don't know that Chuma would be able to negate some of that. I mean, sure, he might have. He was playing great. It's an interesting thought, though. Is the situation different if Chuma's there? But do we still have? Do you have that energy, that motivation to push the way they did for those final two games if Chuma doesn't get hurt? It's going to be one of those questions we will never know. What if, right? For those of you that watched that Marvel series, what if? It's going to be those type scenarios. All right, we got our first caller tonight. So let's go ahead and pull him in, say hello, and talk to him for the very first time in a while. We haven't heard from you. He's got the number 1 up. What's up, Kevin?
Hey, we will end up number 1 in basketball before the season's over.
Well, buddy, I hope you're right. I don't know that I necessarily agree with you, but I love your optimism. You are Captain Optimism of our little family here, so we appreciate that.
I'm on 3 live Auburn too.
Oh, are you double dipping tonight? Are they live as well?
No, they go live on Sunday night.
Oh, okay. All right. I knew a lot of people go live tonight, but I didn't know if we were all going live on Wednesday nights at this point.
I hope Auburn women basketball team beats LSU tomorrow night.
Hey, listen, I don't want it to be lost that Auburn women's basketball is having a pretty decent season too. So year 3 for Coach Johnny Harris. Year 1 was kind of getting everything established. Year 2, they made it to the NIT, and then this year they look to be in position to make the NCAA tournament. So I hope they keep it up.
And my best player is Honesty Scott Grayson.
I think she's all of our best players. She's definitely the heart, and she is the Jalen Williams of that team. Maybe she's the Janai Broom of that team as the go-to all-star.
Hey, what's Georgia's record in men's basketball?
I have not looked. If you'll give me 2 seconds, I can look it up for you as we continue to talk.
Okay.
I believe
it's
favorable.
I think we can go down there and beat them Saturday.
I hope so. Well, who is it? Unbeaten Lake is not so sure. He's a little bit worried about it. Their record is 14-11, so they are above 500.
Oh yeah,
not super impressive, but probably a lot better than most people thought they would be at to start the season. So I don't know if that changes your opinions about it, but 14-11.
How's your week been going?
Week's been going pretty good. It's been. I said it at the start of the show. I don't know if you were here. I miss not having a midweek basketball game to talk about, but I also am enjoying the extra, not necessarily free time, but less scheduled stuff to worry about. So that's been good. So how about you?
I'm ready for the A-Day game.
I bet you are. You going to be there this year?
Hopefully. We going to try.
I hope it's just better weather this year, because last year was awful. And I mean awful, just in terms of being able to just sit down, and most people couldn't sit down because it was so wet.
I can't wait to see what the wild receivers do.
Yeah, and I would caution you that you're not going to see a whole lot in the spring game. Now, Hugh Freeze he said that he doesn't like to show a whole lot in spring games, and I would anticipate that you might see some stuff, but it's not going to be anything flashy. They don't want to reveal too much,
I bet I will see Bryce Kane out there, and and
Mhm.
Cam Coleman.
Yep. I think you'll see all of those freshmen out there playing. That's the whole point of A-Day game, right? Everybody's getting a shot. Everybody's getting an opportunity to show what they can do, not just for the fans, but, in front of a crowd to
We still
show
do we
coaches what they
still
can do.
do we still have Fairweather?
Yeah, Fairweather decided to come back, so we will have him. We've got Luke Deal back, Brandon Frazier, I believe, and then the new tight end, what's his name? Came in from Maryland. But anyway, we got some pretty good tight ends coming back.
And we got good running backs too.
We got a lot of good everywhere. At least speculation wise, we got a lot of good everywhere, Kevin. So I think I'm excited for this season to see what
I
they can
like.
put together.
I might get Jaquez Hunter's number 27 jersey.
You don't already have a number 27 jersey, Kevin?
No, not yet.
How do you not have a number 27 jersey?
I don't know. Nobody
Kevin.
ordered it yet.
He said nobody ordered it yet. Well, listen, I hope you get it soon, and hopefully you can get it autographed. That'd be really cool.
Yeah.
So how about this? I want you to give me your prediction for how far to end our conversation. How far Auburn will go in the NCAA tournament? What round?
They will go to the Final Four.
To the Final Four. You heard it here first, folks. Big turnaround for the Tigers coming up. We'll see if you're right, buddy. So,
Yeah, I'm the legend.
you're the legend?
Yeah.
Well, all right then. We'll just leave it at that. The legend on the way out. Thanks for calling in tonight, buddy. Good to
Okay,
talk
War
to you.
Eagle.
War
Bye.
Eagle. Bye. He said, I am the legend of E2C Network. And nobody else has claimed it, so it can be yours. Always good to talk to Kevin. Let's see. How far are we seeing ourselves getting in the NCAA tournament? Honestly, Corey, I didn't ask that question because I saw yours. I just now looked at it, but it's a great segue into our last question with Kevin there. I think you heard my opinions about 5-6 games into SEC play, where I said we had reached the level of an Elite 18. I would say the way we're playing right now, we are not playing like an Elite 18. I would say we are still, our goal should be a Sweet 16. Anything less than the Sweet 16 is going to be a little bit of a disappointment this year. I think we're highly capable of that. It's going to be so dependent upon where we get seated and against who. If Auburn runs into a buzzsaw like they did Houston last year in round 2, it could get really, really, really difficult. But that's why you play the games. Gotta get yourself into a position where you don't, run into those buzzsaws, and hopefully getting one of the top 4 seeds will do that. So honestly, I think the Sweet 16, I think Auburn right now will find itself anywhere from a 4 to a 6 seed in the tournament. I wouldn't be so upset with a 6 seed. And I know that means that we fell a little bit in people's opinion and probably took a few losses. But frankly, there's the old adage that Auburn plays well when they're underappreciated and underestimated. Maybe that's exactly what the doctor ordered for this team. Then here's what college basketball knows. Auburn is fully capable of beating anybody that they want to. Also, anybody can beat anybody right now. Creighton just beat UConn last night. Now Creighton's a great basketball team too. But a lot of people this week had made unanimous votes for UConn to be number 1, and then they took a loss to Creighton. Yes, but this is a basketball season that is extremely full of parity, and I love it. I hope it translates into a crazy March Madness. I hope that's not at Auburn's expense, but it very well could be. And that's kind of what comes with the territory. I would much rather be there in the madness and it happened to us than not be there at all. Jake says, I wish the tournament came back to Birmingham again. Hopefully they will in the future. Is that official? They're not coming to Birmingham this year? They announced the regional sites. I thought they picked those. Well, I don't know. I haven't looked really to see if they've announced all of those yet. I thought they got picked based off of how things were seated, but I could be wrong. I probably am wrong there. Yeah, that was a pretty cool thing last year. I got to be a part of it, was at the Auburn game. Alabama was there playing their team, and having Auburn and Alabama both invade the BJCC in Birmingham for a full weekend was pretty crazy. There was some good basketball played there, some good teams, with Houston also being there. They were one of the number 2 seeds, I think, at the time, because we were 5, something like that. But listen, I would love for it to come back to there, because it was a very easy, manageable situation for me to get to that game. And it was one of my bucket list items to be able to attend a March Madness game. And I've attended a first round. Now it's going to be a second round. So what I would probably do this year, if it was a reasonable driving distance, is I would buy the second round ticket, no matter what the cost. Well, not no matter what the cost was, within reasonable bounds for that game price, because I would love to go to a second round now, and then to a Sweet 16, and so on and so forth. Listen, when Auburn with Jabari Smith and Walker Kessler, it looked like they were just going to be world beaters. I had already booked a hotel in New Orleans, because that's where the Final Four was that year. I was ready to roll. Man, I had everything prepared that I was going to be at that Final Four, and I was prepared to spend the money, be there, don't even hesitate. As soon as the tickets went on sale, I was going to get them. Didn't matter. And then it happened. They got Auburn playing in Brooklyn to start the tourney. Well, we were just in Brooklyn, I believe. That's where the Legends Classic, I think it was. Maybe? I think it was in Brooklyn. So some familiarity there. Does that help us? I don't know. But definitely won't help us. And now I will say this: if Auburn does get a New York-based, or at least close, regional, there's a very large contingency of Auburn fans that go to, like, the New York Auburn Club, and I think there's a couple of them. So I would anticipate there'd be a large contingency of Auburn fans there to support. Memphis is the closest this year. Not even Atlanta. There must be a Sweet 16 site this year. Or a Sweet 16 Elite 8. Man, not even Atlanta getting the closest one, because to me, I'm right over there. Yeah, Memphis is not close at all. I do know several Memphis-based Auburn fans, so that they'll enjoy that. And it's not too far of a drive for our Nashville friends. They've had a pretty good year so far of showing out with the bowl game and being in their state, at Vanderbilt, the Vanderbilt basketball game, that awful stadium, arena, whatever it is, container of sports. So if that's the closest one, it's tough. That's tough. Current projections have us as a 4 seed heading into Washington, which is the furthest you could possibly get, which is the furthest you could possibly get from here. Heading to Washington State. That's what you're saying? Not Washington, D.C., Washington State? That is tough. It's like when Auburn went out to, was it San Diego? Yeah, it was San Diego for the Final Four run. Then it was Salt Lake, and then it went up to Minnesota. So it's like it came back our way and then went up and away. Hey, there's some similarities kind of lining up here with that Final Four team. Am I saying that's what's going to happen? No. There's some interesting scenarios, though. I hope we don't go to Washington. I think you will see a concerted effort for decisions to be made that will make the most money for the NCAA / all parties involved that will be making money off of that. And they know that Auburn fans will travel. And so if possible, and it's not like them going out of their way, just like I talk about with bowl games, they're going to bring Auburn to a place where they know they can draw a contingency of fans, because they know all people will show up, will be loud, and will support their team. And that means a little bit of cheese for them as well. So, and plus the TV alone will help them a lot. Getting Auburn into your postseason tournament, bowl game, into your even semi-pro teams will benefit you greatly because Auburn people just love Auburn, even if that doesn't even directly affect Auburn. They will support the players, former players, coaches. It just means more over here. We've been saying it just means more longer than the SEC has. But what do you guys all think? I mean, how are you feeling about? I've talked a lot about how I feel about the team. How do you guys feel about it? Do you think we're a Sweet 16? Do you think we are I don't know, a what? How do you feel about it? Because I think right now the prevailing thought is a lot of people are down about the team. And I understand that. I do. I understand, especially after Jalen Williams being hurt. But I also think how quickly forget when this team is playing as well as they're capable of how good they were and are. This is a team that took Baylor down to the wire in the very first game of the season at a neutral site and frankly should have beat them. You know what? I want to look at something. I keep referencing that the App State loss was not a bad loss. Let's see how they're doing. App State men's basketball. Probably going to eat my words here. App State men's basketball. They are sitting atop the Sun Belt at 12-2 in their conference. 22-5 is their record. They have lost to Northern Illinois, Oregon State, UNC Asheville, who we also played and beat pretty handily. They lost to Troy, and they lost to Texas State. But outside of that, they are having magnificent success. I'm trying to see. East Tennessee State is usually not a bad basketball program, so that potentially could be a pretty good win for them. But it looks like their toughest opponents might have been Oregon State, Auburn, UNC Asheville, because they'll probably be competing for, where are they at in this? UNC Asheville. They're not in that one. Anyway, doing pretty well. Probably going to win the Sun Belt. So don't sleep on that loss. LOL. App State is who ESPN's projection has us playing in Brooklyn. There was one projection, I don't know how long ago it was, that had App State, was it Baylor and Alabama all in our region, like at the time, all of our losses. Revenge tour for Auburn, right? Of course, you wouldn't get a crack at all three of them, but you would at a few of them. I'm wondering if the committee has, for lack of a better term, the cojones to put Auburn and Alabama, not just in a regional being played in the same city, but there were two different regionals, but playing the regional in the same city, because that was bold enough, but to put them in the same regional, meaning that, let's say Auburn's a 4, they're 3, you technically wouldn't see each other until the Sweet 16, basically how it lines up, because if Auburn's a 4, they would play the 1 eventually. If they kept winning, 3 would play the 2. Well, actually, you wouldn't see each other until, that's how it would break down. Do they have it in them to put Auburn and Alabama in the same regional? I don't know. I don't think so, but it'd be fun to watch. I don't know that the excitement could be contained in one arena. And can you imagine? What if it was in Birmingham? What if Birmingham hosted the Auburn and Alabama regional? It would be incredible. Incredible. Wouldn't put it past the NCAA. They love money. Hey, and in no way am I saying that's a stupid thing to do or a bad thing to do, or I'm fine with if they want to rig it. This is a money-making business, and they know that'll sell some tickets. Did y'all see the prices of just Alabama and Auburn being in the same regional venue last year? Not the same regional for competition, but just playing their regional games in the same. Those prices were enormous. I think I got in for 100 finally after waiting a while. I think that's what it was. But you were lucky to spend just barely over 100. How big would it be if Auburn and Bama got to the final? Oh, as I've told y'all before, in any championship situation, the championship for any sport, if Auburn and Alabama meet each other, there's no way. I'm not talking about for SEC championships, which could start happening this year. But in the championship of any of the sports for college sports, if Auburn and Alabama meet, that's the end of the world. Like, how do you contain that level of energy, hatred, excitement into one venue, into one town? I think that would truly show people around the country and around the world that this is the greatest rivalry in all of college sports. Yeah, you can say that Duke UNC is the best college basketball. When you talk specifically about college basketball rivalries, sure. When you talk specifically about the best NFL rivalries, you're going to hear, a lot in that categories, Eagles, Giants, all the different iterations of that. Yankees, Red Sox, MLB. But in all of sports, across all of sports, the greatest rivalry is going to be Auburn and Alabama, because there is nothing but pure, unadulterated hatred for each other, because you live in the same state, no pro sports. That is it. The end all be all is the Iron Bowl of X, not Twitter, but X sport that you're playing. Unbeaten Lake wants a crack at Virginia in the title game for revenge. That would draw some numbers as well for NCAA, ESPN, all the people that make money off of this. So it will never shock me when you see certain convenient things line up in a postseason situation. It was kind of like let me look it up. I know we're switching gears a lot here. Who was in the regional last year for Auburn baseball? Wasn't it Sanford made it in? I think it was. Auburn baseball regional. Penn, Southern Miss, and wasn't it Sanford that made it in? Yeah, you won't shock me when you see Sanford being added to an Auburn regional, because they know how close they are and they'll travel well. And there's a lot of Auburn and Sanford connectivity there as well. Corey says, I would rather beat Georgia for the Natty in football. Really? You get more excited about that than beating Alabama out of another one of their, well, if they won that one in that scenario, that'd be like their 20,000th one they'll claim. Corey, I got to disagree with you, man. Beating Alabama in anything is always going to trump Georgia. Period. Over with. And I've talked about this some, that Corey's not alone in this. There is a large contingency of fans that I have discovered over the last several years that almost, and some officially do, hate Georgia more than Auburn. I mean, more than Alabama. And I don't get that. Like, Alabama is your biggest rival. To me, that doesn't compute. Now, I'm growing to despise Georgia more and more living in the state, but also the way they've been successful in football. But you'll never see me wishing a victory over them other than Alabama. Corey officially says it. Georgia more than Bama, huh? Ooh, I don't know about that, Corey. Might have to think less about you now. Look, for me, it's Bama, and it's not even close. It's gotten closer over the last several years because of some certain situations. It's always going to be Bama, and I'm not afraid to admit that. That is who I want to beat every day, twice on Sunday, 3 times on Monday, 4 times on Tuesday, and I'll keep going and going. Bama or bust. I want to beat the brakes off of them and nobody else. And does that make me a little brother? Sure. I don't care. But hey, we do it more than anybody else typically. Jake, yes, I have been barked at. I sat up in the upper deck with a large contingency of Georgia fans the entire game. They were real quiet at certain points of the game, but when they realized it was in hand for them finally, they barked a ton. Yeah, it's kind of sad, isn't it? It really is. It not sad to see grown men barking like at other people, but to each other? Like, how does that even compute? How do you think that's okay? Like, there's something wrong there in your mind that if you think that barking as a grown adult person at to anybody is like acceptable behavior, it's just weird, man. LSU fans are also just as bad. I would agree with you. To me, it is Alabama, Joe. Well, there have been times that I have put LSU ahead of Georgia in my hatred column, but lately it's been Georgia back in that, especially after some current situations with them. Georgia and then LSU. And I'd probably put Florida next just because of the history. Yeah, after that, it's a free for all for top 5 most hated teams for me. The whole atmosphere around Georgia is worse than Bama, in my opinion. You know, I will say this, Corey, I am growing more accustomed with them being more prominently, especially college football wise, being in the limelight, that I agree with that sentiment. It's an odd culture. It really is. It's borderline Texas A&M weird. Like Texas A&M, you just kind of look at it and go, that's odd. And you can't stop looking at it, but it's not that you take pity on it. You're just intrigued by what you're seeing. It's getting to that level mixed with hatred for Georgia. That's how I feel about it, frankly. Yeah, so it definitely has increased for me personally, and I think rightfully so for many over the last several years. But Corey, we got to talk about this. You and I we have to reconcile this. You hate Georgia more than Bama. That does not compute in my head whatsoever. Like if you want to say situationally, because like maybe one year Bama wasn't as good as Georgia in football, you hate Georgia more for that season, sure. But holistically, hatred is at Bama or bust for me every day and twice on Sunday. All right, we are at about 47 minutes. We usually go around about an hour. We'll probably do that, but keep your comments and questions coming. But let me take this time from our conversation just to give you a reminder of what's going on the rest of this week and leading into next week, just for you all to keep on your radar that you can be a part of. We'd love to have you at some of the other shows that we have coming up this Saturday, Auburn versus Georgia. We're just talking about Georgia a lot. Hatred for Georgia. There you go, Corey. Post game after the Georgia game, hopefully it'll be a happy one, or we can talk about an Auburn win. Then you got Sunday night, the Auburn Experience live recording, episode 68 with Austin and myself. Don't miss it. We'll have a lot of fun. I have a feeling that Austin's going to be very opinionated about some things this Sunday, so don't want to miss that. We announced that we're doing our Tuesday night live streams for Auburn baseball. We'll be talking right after the Samford game this week and looking back at the weekend that was and the weekend that will be too. So join us Tuesday evenings right after the conclusion of that Samford baseball game. So those are your scheduled live streams coming up. Stay tuned on all the other social media, TikTok, Facebook, X, Instagram for more content, maybe even some streams over there too. You never know what you might be missing out if you are not following us everywhere. All right, what else is on y'all's mind? What else do you guys want to talk about? We have talked a lot of basketball. We've talked about rivalries tonight. I didn't anticipate us getting into a big discussion about that, but I guess it's always warranted. Anybody have any opinions about the Aubie statue? About it coming? Do you think that it should have happened, or where it's going to go? Anybody got any opinions about the greatest rival, the greatest mascot in sports, frankly, but definitely college mascots? We can do a Georgia Anonymous sometime. Interesting. How's the softball team doing? Let's look up. I haven't necessarily memorize their record right now. What I will tell you is they are battling the elements right now. They've had 2 games rained out, 3 games rained out maybe at this point. But let's just pull it up and give you the rundown of what's going on. They are 4-1 and 1 right now. They got another tournament at home this weekend. They have beaten Belmont, tied Virginia Tech. That was one of those rain games. Had the Illinois and Belmont games after that canceled. That's 3 games right there canceled. 1 rain delayed. They beat Wichita State, beat UC Davis, beat a very good Utah team in Mexico, and had their Clemson game, which would have been the biggest opponent for them this year, canceled because of rain too. So 3 canceled, 1 rain shortened, resulting in a tie. They are 4-1 and 1. So not bad at all. Unbeaten Lake says, I still don't like Georgia Tech. That's always going to be there, but we don't see them ever in any sports besides baseball. So it's hard to really maintain that level of hatred for them. I will say that it does seem to be a level of contempt still with the Georgia Tech fans when you have those conversations with them. At least it's kind of like a very faint disdain. Tim C. Wood, Aubie statue is awesome. Is an awesome idea. Oh, do you not know that it's happening, or you're just agreeing that it's a great idea? It's happening. It's getting unveiled this Saturday. I don't know the time. Maybe they've announced it. Maybe you should know these things, Kyle. Aubie statue. Well, it's showing me a bunch of things that you can shop for. The Plainsmen, we'll see what surely they've got the correct times and stuff. Saturday, the 24th. And nope, no time set for that whatsoever. Okay, good. I'm glad you knew it was happening. I thought the way it was written out, I thought you were saying it's a cool idea to do. I didn't know if you knew it was happening. Happening this Saturday. Don't know the time. I wish I could be there in person. I just can't. Got other obligations this weekend. But I'm excited to start seeing pictures and video of it. And you can bet I will get down there soon enough to check it out. Yet another awesome statue going up in Auburn. Auburn should have a walk of fame going around the stadium. Well, they do. They do. You got 3 Heisman Trophy winners, and their John Heisman's bust right there in the center on that side of the arena. On the south end zone, you've got the namesakes for the stadium and other famous coaches, Pat Dye. And I would bet there's 3 spaces open, really. Hopefully those will be George Petrie, Iron Mike Donahue, and maybe there's only 2 spots left, but those definitely should be the ones that fill those 2 spots. Iron Mike does not get enough credit for his legacy at Auburn, and I think he should be. I mean, he's got a whole street named after him too. That should tell you something how important he is to Auburn's legacy. Iron Mike Donahue. Know his name if you don't know him. Let's see here. A couple other things. Have y'all talked about the 5-7 playoff format? I will never be a fan of 12 teams, too many. Well, let me ask you this, Jake, and anybody else can answer too. Would you rather have 12 or 4? If you can only choose one or the other, can't get around it, 4 or 12, which would you choose? I'll choose 12 every day on Twice on Sunday, because you know what that means? More legitimate football in the postseason. Like legitimate meaning it's for something. I'm a big fan of whatever increases it. Is it what I would have done? No. I would have already said everybody needs to join these 8 conferences. Your conference champion goes to the playoff. That's it. And we get into these conversations about, well, this conference champion will never be good enough to beat this conference champion. You don't necessarily know that, but more often than not, you're going to be true. To me, though, if you're not good enough to win your championship, you're not good enough to be in the playoffs. And I understand that non-champions have won the championship. Non-conference championships have won the championship before. I get that. But to me, that's how it should be done. It eliminates all arguments, all whining, all complaints. If you can't follow these X steps to get there, you don't deserve to be there, in my opinion. And I know that's a hot take. I know there will be some comments about that, so we'll come back around to that. What if we replace the basketball court with an LED basketball court? So you're talking about the all-star situation? I saw some videos about that, but it like interested me barely. So I don't know that I'm going to be the target audience for that. Would it be cool to the youth? Sure. But not really to people like my age and stuff, I bet. I'm talking about all athletes like in Hollywood. Well, Corey, we have that. Did you not know about this? Have you ever walked around downtown? Yes, you have. You're in Auburn, aren't you? The Walk of Fame is all throughout downtown Auburn. In fact, we had made the beginnings of a video for that. And I had it all filmed out. I just wasn't happy with it, with the lighting that day, with some of the things that I was trying out with my camera equipment, and then a lot of the plaques, because they're the little diamond ones, and they're all sports and administrators are out there throughout downtown Auburn that weren't there, actually. Like some had been taken up to, I guess, be repaired, or because they had been broken. And it just didn't look good as on camera. I mean, there was one stretch of them that about 5 or 6 were missing. And I think they had just finished up some construction, so they may not have put them back yet. But to me, the Walk of Fame is there. It's the Tiger Trail. I don't know if that satisfies you, but your request has already been done. Around the stadium, that deserves to be football, just like the statues of basketball need to be there. Here's what I will say. I think there's a contingency of fans that will literally lose their mind if we don't have a women's statue soon. And there are some that very much deserve to have a statue, but not simply because they're women and simply because of social agendas, but simply because they deserve it. And there's some that don't know how to separate those two. I'll leave it at that. I know it's downtown, but not everyone goes downtown. I'm in Hoover, not Auburn. Why did I think you were in Auburn? Is it just because you sent me that one picture that you were working in front of? And I assumed you were in Auburn. Okay. See, it's keeping track of all of y'all is tough sometimes. I love it. It means we got a great, little family here, but keeping track of all of y'all is getting tough. Yeah, I get it that not everybody goes downtown, but not everybody, I know it's hard to believe, not everybody goes to the stadium either. I'd say more people go to the stadium. Less people don't go to the stadium than don't go to downtown. But there you get an opportunity to see it in a more, mostly daytime, wholesome environment. Toomer's Corner, it's the gathering place. To me, it makes the most sense. So I hear you on that. But I think it's probably in the place that it needs to be. So there's your Walk of Fame, whether you like it or not. You know who lives in Hoover? Who am I missing? Is that a joke about something? I don't know. I do not know, sir. All right. What else haven't we talked about? We got a few minutes left. I don't want you guys to miss an opportunity to get a comment question in. I know our schedule's been a little bit scattered, so some of our regulars have gotten out of the habit of being here. But if you see any of them on social media, let them know. Come back on Wednesday nights. Next Wednesday, let's look at it. I think we're going to have a conflict again. Yep. 7:00 Eastern time game for basketball with Tennessee. So there will be no Wednesday night show next week. The next Wednesday, there is a new, is it not? Hold on. Oh yeah, we get to do a Tuesday game finally again. So we won't have a conflict there. And then I think, yeah, that's it. Guys, basketball season's almost over. I'm going to miss it so much. I love basketball season so much. I can't believe it's almost over. It feels like we were just talking about the start of it, the start of SEC play, and then it's gone. February is a really weird month for me because I spend it wishing for warm weather, wishing for March Madness to get here. And then you just don't know what you have during the time. It's like the one good thing about February is it's just nothing but basketball focus. So it's almost over. Enjoy it while you got it, folks. That's all I'll say right there. All right, look, I know it's a few minutes early, but we'll end it there. I think we've kind of hit all the topics that everybody wants to hit. I appreciate those of you who were able to be here tonight, spend some time with us and being part of our little family within the Auburn family. Please do smash that like button on the way out. Follow us, subscribe, whichever option it is on whichever social media that you're not following us, or if you haven't hit that or made that connection with us yet, please do so. We don't want to miss out on an opportunity to connect with you or have some of our content. Podcast, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, X, all the I said YouTube already. All the different things. Make sure you're checking in with us, and if you're interested in joining, being part of the Conquer Club, hit the join button down below. Some of you already are. You've got your icons next to you. That'll give you access to our Discord, and you can join a little conversation group with some of the other fine folks over there. There are a few of you that have been Conquer Club members or YouTube members, yes, but that still makes you part of the Conquer Club that haven't taken advantage of the Discord. You need to. It's just like a little chat thing. It's kind of like a little social media thing. We'd love to see some of you in there. But anyway, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us, being part of our little family within the Auburn family. Appreciate you guys so much. Y'all have a great week. Enjoy the bye week, midweek, whatever you want to call it. But until I talk to you again, War Eagle.